As of now, the DCU has officially begun, promising to potentially and hopefully be the quintessential DC cinematic universe that the DCEU failed to be. But what if DC already had a quintessential cinematic universe dating back to 2008, as a direct counterpart to the MCU, but even larger? Well, that's what I covered the first chapter of in a previous video. This video, I'll be covering chapter 2, spanning the years 2013 to 2015, and containing 9 movies of its own. I definitely recommend watching part 1 before this one for the full context. Even if you have already seen it, probably watch it again for the refresher. Make sure to leave a like on this video to show me that you like videos like these, and subscribe to help me get to my new goal of 150,000 subscribers, and to stay tuned for the next part's release. Also, for anyone who hasn't already, make sure to sign up for a membership for this channel for as low as $1 a month for special perks like early access to videos. All of these people got to see this video a few days early. Let's begin with 2013. The first movie of 2013 and the beginning of chapter 2 is Swamp Thing, directed by James Mangold. It's a standalone film launching a series of R-rated Vertigo-based DC movies that eventually will culminate in Justice League Dark. The film exists in its own universe, separate from the Justice League, and serves as a reimagining of the 2019 Swamp Thing TV series with a more polished and cinematic approach. Andy Bean plays Alec Holland, while Swamp Thing is created using Derek Mears' voice and motion capture. Crystal Reed stars as Abby Arcane, and Henderson Wade plays her husband Matt Cable. The story centers on Abby Arcane as she investigates a deadly swamp-borne virus in Murray, Louisiana. Her work leads her to encounter Swamp Thing, a monstrous but sentient being who believes that he is Alec Holland, a scientist who nearly died in the swamp. Alec was conducting experiments involving plant regeneration in the swamp, but an accident caused him to drown. However, he was saved by a mystical force connected to what is known as the Green. Alec's consciousness was then transferred to the swamp, creating Swamp Thing. At some point in the movie, Swamp Thing discovers Alec's dead body, realizing that he is not Alec reborn, but a new entity created from Alec's essence. This shakes him to his core, but at the same time, he slowly bonds with Abby Arcane, who is then revealed to have been sent to the swamp by her father, Anton Arcane, who is played by Charles Dance, and is the avatar of the Black, the force of death, and the opposite of the Green, which is the force of life. None of this was known to Abby, though. She was sent to the swamp by Anton to weaken and distract Swamp Thing, paving the way for the Black to take over. Then, as Abby and Swamp Thing grow closer and even fall in love, she becomes aware of Anton's true intentions and sides with Swamp Thing. The climactic battle pits Swamp Thing against Anton, who uses his power to unleash devastation. Anton kills Matt Cable, Abby's husband, as a warning of what the Black is capable of. However, Anton is not defeated in the end. Instead, he just retreats, leaving the eternal struggle between life and death unresolved. Swamp Thing reflects on the inevitability of death's victory, stating his mission is not to defeat the Black, but to ensure life continues as long as possible. With her husband now dead, her father the avatar of the death, and having fallen in love with Swamp Thing, Abby decides to remain in the swamp. Man, that was bleak. Really makes you think about life, which is where this video's paid partner, BetterHelp, can come in. BetterHelp is an online therapy platform where you just fill out a questionnaire, and in most cases, within a few days are matched with the right therapist. Coming with all of the same professionalism as traditional therapy, but from the comfort of your own home, the convenience of your own schedule, and then if you feel like they aren't the right fit, you can just switch therapists at no extra costs. A new year coming around could feel like a checkpoint that makes you look back and think about what you've accomplished in that year, and for many that could come with feelings of I haven't done enough, inadequacy, or feeling stuck. Something that I greatly relate to is the feeling of being left behind by your peers, which for you could be anything from other people your age advancing further in their careers, or getting better grades, or doing better in the dating world. These social pressures could be suffocating and paralyzing. With BetterHelp, you could help develop a different way to look at things, comparing your timeline only to yourself and not others, because comparison is the thief of joy. I've previously gone through a few rough patches in my life, having dealt with being overwhelmed by life, inadequacy, or being left behind, and it's for that reason that I turned to therapy to help me develop the tools to live life to its fullest. Now with BetterHelp, that's as easy and as convenient as possible. With over 7,000 reviews and a 4.5 rating on Trustpilot, BetterHelp is a platform you can trust. So start fresh any day of the year with BetterHelp. Click the link in the description or in the cards, or go to betterhelp.com/theblacklion and get 10% off your first month of therapy. In a post-credit scene, John Constantine is seen, played by Matt Ryan, in a dingy apartment pouring whiskey and lighting a cigarette as he watches the news report about strange occurrences in Murray. This teases Constantine as the next chapter in the Vertigo universe, where Swamp Thing will also make an appearance. As I said, Swamp Thing would take place on another world, however that wouldn't be revealed until a bit later in the saga. The saga will now start jumping headfirst into the multiverse, however, with the second Flash movie titled The Flash of Two Worlds. Now would be a good time to say that the first 3 chapters of the DC movie universe will come together to form the Crisis Chronicles, which I changed from saga because, I don't know, I like it better. I want it to be different from the MCU, and it's alliteration. The Flash of Two Worlds is directed by Matthew Vaughn, like its predecessor, and set a year after the events of Justice League. Like I mentioned in the previous video, this movie would reveal that Wally's transformation wasn't entirely accidental. Barry's time reversal during Brainiac's invasion caused a disturbance in the Speed Force that created a lightning bolt initially meant for Iris West, but Wally intercepted it. It'll later be revealed that other things were caused by this disturbance as well. Wally, now Kid Flash, is a natural superhero but noticeably slower than Barry. The story opens with Barry trying to bond with Wally, who has moved in with his aunt to escape his abusive home. Their relationship as Flash and Kid Flash is strong, but their personal relationship isn't really. As Barry prepares to then reveal his identity to Wally, Central City is attacked by Dr. Alchemy. The Flashes confront him, and during the battle, the Speed Force energy from Barry and Wally reacts with Alchemy's stone, which will later be revealed to be known as the Philosopher's Stone, causing Barry to vibrate uncontrollably and then vanish. Barry finds himself in an alternate version of his city, which in this world is called Keystone City, and later it was revealed that he made his way to Earth 2, a retro-futuristic world with its own Flash, Jay Garrick, played by John Wesley Shipp, looking very similar to Barry's father. Jay is a 90-year-old veteran with 70 years of superhero experience, having been a member of the Justice Society of America during World War II, a team who all cameo in this movie but are kept in the shadows so as to not need to cast them just yet. Barry and Jay put their minds together to study the multiverse and find a way for Barry to return to Earth 1. However, they are being watched by Jay's longtime arch-enemy, Clifford DeVoe, aka The Thinker, played by Neil Sandylance. A montage shows Jay and DeVoe's decades-long rivalry. DeVoe, driven mad by a cloning process that kept him young, learns of the multiverse and devises a plan to trap the Flashes while opening a portal to Earth 1. He seeks the Philosopher's Stone, held by Earth 1's Dr. Alchemy, believing it holds the key to ultimate power. The stone is revealed to have originated on Earth 2, used by Earth 2's Dr. Alchemy, known as Curtis Engstrom, and is a Speed Force construct. The Thinker tried to steal it from Dr. Alchemy in the past, but never succeeded. And just like Wally getting powers, the stone is revealed to have been brought to Earth 1 due to Barry's Speed Force disturbance. While all of this is happening, Wally is the main character of his own side storyline, while he struggles to take on Dr. Alchemy and maintain order in Central City, which falls into chaos as other rogues take advantage of the Flash's absence. After struggling for a while, and with encouragement from his Aunt Iris, Wally steps up and defeats Dr. Alchemy, but the victory is short-lived, as it's just then that the Thinker steps through a portal and arrives, taking the stone and using its power to drain the abilities of all metahumans in the near area. Now godlike, DeVoe sets out to conquer Earth 1. Wally's Speed Force connection saves him from losing his powers because the Philosopher's Stone is also connected to the Speed Force, but he is still overwhelmed by DeVoe's power. On Earth 2, the Shade, played by Jonathan Cake, who initially helped DeVoe to capture the Flash, has a change of heart and frees Barry and Jay. Luckily, however, while they were captured, the two Flashes realized how they could get Barry back to Earth 1 by vibrating at Earth 1's natural frequency, which they both do, arriving just in time to save Wally from being killed by the Thinker. The final battle pits Barry, Wally, and Jay against the Thinker in an epic showdown. Wally, Jay, and Barry each have their little moments, and the battle ends with the destruction of the Philosopher's Stone and then DeVoe's death. The metahumans do, however, remain powerless and mostly retired. However, Captain Cold and Heatwave salvage parts of DeVoe's chair to create weapons for future use. Jay returns to Earth 2, but a link has now been established between the universes, allowing speedsters to travel freely. Barry reveals his identity to Wally, strengthening their bond, and reunites with Iris. In a post-credit scene, the multiverse ripple effects reach Earth 3, where Johnny Quick, played by Ezra Miller, receives a vision of his world's destruction. Bringing 2013 to an end is a movie known as The Trinity, which serves as a shared sequel to the Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, The World's Finest, and kind of the Justice League franchises, bringing back Superman, the Man of Steel's director, Joe Johnston, to direct. The movie begins in Gotham, where Batman has upgraded to his Batman v Superman suit and taken on a second sidekick, Batgirl, a determined 15-year-old played by Abigail Cohen, who forced her way into the Bat family. Robin is also 15 years old, and he and Batgirl share a flirty, competitive dynamic. back. After defeating the Scarecrow, the Bat family investigates a mysterious crash in the Gotham River, discovering a pod bearing Superman's symbol. The pod opens to reveal a young blonde woman played by Melissa Benoist, who we will later learn is Kara Zor-El, Superman's cousin. She attacks the Bat trio, but Batman evens the playing field by whipping out kryptonite. Then Superman arrives, calms Kara using Kryptonian speech, and takes her to the Fortress of Solitude, where Batman insists on accompanying them to investigate. Meanwhile, Wonder Woman is summoned to the Watchtower by the Martian Manhunter, told that her mother requested a meeting. Instead, when she gets to the meeting location, she's ambushed by the female Furies Bernadette, Lashina, Mad Harriet, Stampa, and Fury. It's close, but Diana is ultimately defeated and taken to Apocalypse. Fury is played by Naomi Scott, and it will be revealed to be a different important DC character later on. As Clark introduces Kara to his family and shows her Earth's beauty, Batman, remaining in the Fortress of Solitude with help from Jor-El, discovers that Kara's pod emits energy from what Jor-El knows as Apocalypse. Jor-El warns of Darkseid, played by Ray Porter, and the New Gods, just as Jean contacts Batman to reveal Diana's capture. Batman warns Clark, who is back in Smallville, which exposes Kara, who then attacks Superman with a Red Sun blaster, incapacitating him and taking him to Apocalypse. Later, it'll be revealed that she was supposed to do that the second she got there, but was too intrigued by Earth and the fact that her cousin lived there. En route to Apocalypse, Kara reveals to Clark that her ship got stuck in stasis and that she was rescued by Darkseid, becoming his loyal enforcer, and now is the leader of the female Furies. Kara reveals Darkseid's interest in Superman and Wonder Woman, who he perceives as Earth's strongest warriors, which is why he kidnapped both of them. After Superman was attacked and kidnapped, Batman decided to follow in a Kryptonian ship from the Fortress of Solitude, watching from the shadows as Superman and Diana are subjected to a device designed to simulate the anti-life equation on a micro scale, basically meant to strip them of their free will. Meanwhile, Kara wrestles with her experiences on Earth, which she enjoyed like a lot, and then she is torn between her bond with Clark and her loyalty to Darkseid. Batman struggles to, but does manage to take down a few parademon guards and frees Diana, but they are both attacked by Kara before they're able to free Superman. Diana and Batman face Kara until Superman, now mind-controlled, intervenes. Seeing Superman attack his allies shakes Diana's faith in Darkseid, prompting her to help Batman and Diana escape. Superman then battles Kara long enough for Batman's contingency plan to kick in. Batgirl, Robin, Aquaman, and the Martian Manhunter arrive with a Kryptonian ship and tech, including an anti-Superman suit for Batman. As the heroes regroup, Superman defeats Kara and delivers her to Darkseid, who sentences her to death for treason. Before her execution, however, the team intervenes. Aquaman, Martian Manhunter, Batgirl, and Robin all fight a bunch of parademons. Wonder Woman faces off against the Furies by herself again, this time locking in, and Batman fights Superman. Kara, meanwhile, regains her strength and escapes from her hold and joins the fight against Darkseid, who does easily overpower her and the team. Batman breaks through Superman's programming by reminding him of Kara's impending death, allowing Superman to recover and attack Darkseid. Wonder Woman defeats the female Furies but learns of Fury's true identity. She is Darkseid's daughter with an Amazonian named Magala. Diana convinces Fury to embrace her Themysciran heritage and fight for Earth. After interrogating one of the female Furies, Batman locates Apocalypse's Hellspore armory, activating it to threaten the planet's destruction. Unlike in the real-world movie Superman, Batman, Apocalypse, Darkseid does call Batman's bluff, allowing for the triggering of the Hellspores, while Darkseid then diverts his forces to contain the destruction. The heroes escape, having dealt a huge blow to Darkseid and Apocalypse, setting them back by years. On the relatively long journey back to Earth, Kara bonds with Batgirl and Superman and prepares for life on Earth. Fury renames herself to Donna Troy, pledging loyalty to Diana and the Amazons, and even bonds a bit with Robin. The film then closes with Darkseid vowing vengeance, his forces scattered, but planning to return stronger than ever. Joseph Kosinski returns to the Green Lantern franchise, directing Green Lantern War of Light, which begins 2014 with an epic tale of intergalactic conflict. The film focuses on an experienced Hal Jordan, who has been a Green Lantern for 6 years now, as well as John Stewart, who was recruited shortly after the events of Justice League and now has a little bit under 2 years of experience. However, he is a bit older older than Hal, so they have a bit of a unique dynamic where they are actually more so equals. The story picks up after Emerald Knights, revealing that Atrocitus escaped during Parallax's attack on Oa and has since formed the Red Lantern Corps, recruiting fearsome allies like Dexstar, a cat from Earth, as well as a few others. The Red Lantern Corps aren't really an entire corps, they're more so a squad than anything. Meanwhile, Ganthet and Sade, cast out of the Guardians, established the Blue Lantern Corps, which is also more of a squad, with members like Saint Walker, Brother Worth, and a few others, whose powers are mostly defensive but can amplify Green Lanterns in their vicinity. Alongside the Reds and Blues, you have the Star Sapphires, introduced earlier, and the expanding Sinestro Corps, which is now the same size as the Green Lantern Corps, all set the stage for the War of Light, mostly based off of the Sinestro Corps War storyline, the film's central conflict. Back on Earth, Hal Jordan and Jon Stewart defeat Dr. Polaris before being summoned to Oa to address the growing threat of the Sinestro Corps. Sinestro has been working with the Weaponers of Ward, and the shadowy figure from the last movie, revealed in this movie to be named Mobius, and shown fully, wearing his armor and voiced by a placeholder actor for now. They create dozens of yellow rings, recruiting killers from across the galaxy. And then, as political intrigue unfolds, Hal, Jon, and Katma Tui attempt to rally allies in the coming war. They failed to secure the full support of the Star Sapphires, gaining only Carol Ferris, while Sinestro allies with Atrocitus. Along the way, Jon and Katma fall in love. All of this comes together to build to a massive space battle between the Greens and Blues against the Yellows and Reds. The Green Lantern Corps struggles due to their no-kill rule, forcing the Guardians to rewrite the Book of Oa to authorize lethal force. This plays into Sinestro and Atrocitus's plans, albeit for completely different reasons. Atrocitus seeks to fulfill the Blackest Night prophecy, while Sinestro believes the Corps needs this evolution. Their conflicting goals lead to a falling out and a brutal duel, ending with Sinestro killing Atrocitus. Driven by his hatred for Sinestro, Hal Jordan attacks him in a fierce one-on-one battle that is evenly matched, until the Blue Lantern Saint Walker shows up to amplify Hal's powers, only to immediately be killed by Sinestro. Instead of flying off to find some new recruit, Saint's blue ring flies onto Hal, making him the first person to wield two rings at the same time, one green and one blue. With this amplified powers, Hal defeats Sinestro but cannot kill him due to the blue ring's influence, as that ring does still have the no authorized killing rule. Instead, Sinestro is sentenced to death on Oa, which is executed in dramatic fashion. But his yellow ring then flies off to find a new host in his daughter Saranik Natu, whom he had secretly prepared to lead his corps. Along the way, the battle costs the lives of major Green Lanterns, including Chip, Salak, Chaselon, and Katma Tui, intensifying Jon's hatred for Atrocitus, as in the movie they form a bit of a rivalry before Atrocitus is then killed by Sinestro. In the aftermath of the War of Light, Atrocitus got exactly what he wanted, setting the stage for the Blackest Night. Cutting to Earth, the grave of William Hand is shown, and his hand emerges from the ground. An end credit scene reveals the Guardians' preparation for the Blackest Night as they authorize a third lantern per sector, with a new ring flying off to recruit a mysterious new member on Earth. Shazam follows in Swamp Thing's footsteps, set in the alternate universe of Earth 5, and while it retains the basic plot of the real-world movie, it is also very, very different. The lead role of Shazam is recast because I think it wasn't really a great casting, with Tyler Hoechlin, who later proved his superhero chops as the relatively similar feeling character Superman. Billy Batson, played by a younger Asher Angel, is 12 instead of 15, making him more of an actual child rather than a teenager. Mark Strong is replaced by John Cryer as the main villain Dr. Savannah to avoid actor overlap within the DCMU. The story would be set in Fawcett City rather than Philadelphia because I like it when DC is fictional, and Billy's foster family is a lot smaller, including just Mary, who is 15, and Freddie, who is 11. Both of the actors who played them in the real world movie will play them here as well, which works because they were both active in 2014 as actors. Their superhero forms are also more consistent with the comics. Billy is Captain Marvel, Mary is Mary Marvel, and Freddie is Captain Marvel Jr., and the only one of them who transforms into a different person is Billy. The movie would boast a much needed higher budget and lead into brighter, more comic book inspired aesthetics, creating an otherworldly feel. The tone is whimsical and vibrant, staying true to Shazam's roots, while allowing for greater immersion into the fantastical world of Earth 5, which I think tonally should be similar to the Raimi Spider-Man movies, which is why I actually think Sam Raimi would be the perfect person to direct this. The story and focus on Billy's mother, however, remains the same. Most things are kinda different. The second Green Arrow movie is also directed by Guy Ritchie and is called Green Arrow and Black Canary, shifting focus to Star City as the first took place entirely on the island, and beginning with Dinah Lance's origin. Orphaned as a teenager in Gotham City, Dinah is taken in by the League of Assassins and trained by Malcolm Merlyn, becoming one of their most skilled operatives. As an adult, she's played by Katie Lotz. She is sent on a mission to Central City in 2011. During the mission, the particle accelerator explodes, striking her while she screams, granting her powerful sonic abilities. The League of Assassins obviously views this as an opportunity for a strong weapon, but Dinah sees her powers as an opportunity to escape, alongside Merlyn. But once she finds out his plans for Star City, she sets out to stop him. In Star City, Dinah becomes a vigilante known as the Black Canary, specifically targeting Merlyn Global. Dinah intercepts an arms deal between Merlyn Global and Brick, a crime boss in Star City, which is where she meets Green Arrow and Arsenal. Arsenal, being Roy Harper, who was introduced at the end of the last movie, was then taken in by Oliver and trained, and debuted around a year ago. They stop the arms deal, take down Brick, and then go their separate ways, but there is quick, obvious mutual attraction between Green Arrow and Black Canary. Meanwhile, since having returned to the island, Oliver has been trained by his mother to become the CEO of Queen Consolidated, which goes through during this movie, and that's where he meets Malcolm Merlyn. Dinah, meanwhile, hacks Merlyn's servers but then is ambushed by Green Arrow, who tracked her. After a fight, they are attacked by somebody known as the Dark Archer, who overwhelms them, but as it turns out, Arsenal was shadowing Oliver and managed to create a distraction to allow them to escape. Dinah escaping with a hard drive that she allows Oliver to look at as well, as they go back to Oliver's base of operations known as the Arrow Cave. The hard drive reveals Merlyn's plot, which is to destroy the Glades with an earthquake device, but also it implicates Oliver's parents. Oliver confronts his mother, who in that moment learns that he is the Green Arrow, and she says that she only goes through with Merlyn's plans because of the threats that she knows that he would go through with, because then she reveals to him that Merlyn sabotaged the Queen's Gambit, causing it to sink, causing Robert's death, and Oliver being stranded on the island. Merlyn, overhearing through a bug, accelerates his plan, with this now being personal for all three members of the newly formed Team Arrow. For Roy, it's because he's from the Glades. They go after him at Unidac Industries, where he's going to take the earthquake device from, but are ambushed by a few people who were hired by Merlyn, and although they are victorious, Merlyn gets away with the device. Having grown a bit of courage, Moira Queen tries to warn the people of the Glades during a press conference, but before she could get anything out, she is killed by an arrow by Malcolm Merlyn. At the funeral, Merlyn has the gall to show up. Oliver confronts him but is overpowered, and Merlyn tells him that it's all going down that night. Later on, Oliver realizes where the device might be in the Glades, as he remembers a friend of his named Tommy Merlyn, who died when he was a kid and whose mother died as well. Team Arrow finds Merlyn in an abandoned subway line right under the point where Tommy and his mother were killed, and a fight breaks out. The battle is intense. Dinah is unable to use her sonic scream as it risks setting off the device prematurely, so Merlyn is then able to fight all three on his own. This isn't a fight he was ever going to win, but he doesn't really need to. He just has to delay them long enough for the earthquake device to go off, which he successfully does. The ground begins to quake, buildings start to collapse a bit, and chaos spreads throughout the Glades. With time running out, Dinah pushes herself to her physical and emotional limit, unleashing easily the most powerful scream that she's ever attempted, which easily destroys the earthquake device, but leaving herself temporarily weakened. Seizing the moment, Merlyn tries to attack her, but Oliver confronts him one-on-one, and though battered and emotionally raw, Oliver manages to stab Merlyn through the heart with an arrow, ending the Dark Archer's threat. The trio narrowly escapes the collapsing subway tunnel, leaving Merlyn buried in the rubble. As the dust settles, the team emerges to find the Glades in ruins, with survivors struggling amidst the destruction. Roy then finds the body of a close friend of his, Sin, who died in the chaos. Dinah, now fully committed to the fight for Star City, decides to stay and partners with Oliver both as heroes and also romantically. In the post-credit scene, Green Arrow and Black Canary are approached by Hal Jordan, who offers them membership to the Justice League. That brings us to the final year of the chapter, 2015, starting with the second R-rated Vertigo movie, Constantine, this one directed by Guillermo del Toro. Constantine stars Matt Ryan and follows a similar story to the real-world movie of Constantine City of Demons. Set in LA, Constantine helps his old friend Chas Chandler, played by Charles Holford, to save his daughter Trish from a demon. Flashbacks reveal Constantine's origin. As a young man, he and Chas were in a band led by Alex Logue, who attempted a dark spell using his daughter Astra. Constantine summoned a demon named Nergal to save Astra, Astra, but Nergal dragged her to hell instead. In the present, Constantine and Chas discover that it was Nergal who stole Trish's soul. They enlist Nightmare Nurse, played by Ruth Connell, to heal Trish, as well as Swamp Thing to confront Nergal. In order to gain Swamp Thing's help, Constantine promises him a conversation with the now deceased Alec Holland. However, Swamp Thing's involvement proves to not really matter much, as while there is a physical battle with Nergal, the climax proves to be deeply personal, and the physical battle never really meant anything. Chas sacrifices all the love in his life to save Trish, erasing his connections with everyone, including his own memories, just like the real-world Constantine City of Demons movie. The movie ends with the revelation that Constantine's secret attempt to rescue Astra sabotaged their chance for an easier solution, leaving Astra still in hell and Chas Chandler completely without the memory of his daughter and vice versa. An end credit scene shows Astra being rescued in hell by a mysterious yellow demon who calls himself Etrigan. Since the second Batman movie back in 2011, I've been setting up this movie, Teen Titans. Directed by John Watts, the movie focuses on the Justice League sidekicks Robin, Kid Flash, Donna Troy, and Arsenal, who despite their different backgrounds unite to form a cohesive superhero team. While Robin, who is 16 years old, has already forged relationships with both Donna and Wally, which happened off screen, the remainder of the team meets for the first time at the Hall of Justice under the brief guidance of Martian Manhunter, which is more of a tourist site just like it was in Young Justice, while the actual HQ is the Watchtower. Simultaneously, the 16-year-old Victor Stone, portrayed by Javon Wade, confronts his father Silas over missing his football game, only to find Garfield Logan, a 15-year-old green boy played by Ryan Potter, is being held captive as a part of Silas's secretive experiments. This confrontation leads to an accident in which Victor inadvertently triggers an explosion, disfiguring himself, which also allows Garfield to escape, doing so by transforming into a bird and flying away. This incident catches the Justice League system's attention, but with the actual Justice League preoccupied, the young heroes, disobeying direct orders, take it upon themselves to intervene, traveling to the spot where this occurred, Detroit. As the future Teen Titans arrive, Silas Stone reveals to them that he was working under duress and he was threatened by an organization known as Hive, who are intent to exploit Beast Boy's unique abilities to build a superpowered army. With Garfield now missing, the organization is sure to carry out its threats. Dick takes the lead, telling Wally to scout the city for the Beast Boy while the others remain behind to protect Silas, ensuring he has time to repair Victor using advanced Prometheum technology. Wally finds Beast Boy, but the two are ambushed by Hive agents Ravager and Jinx, resulting in Garfield's recapture, while Wally is simply knocked out, not kidnapped or even killed, so as not to incur the attention of the Justice League. Meanwhile, Shimmer, Mammoth, and Gizmo launch an assault on Star Labs. Despite being overwhelmed, the team buys enough time for Silas to complete Victor's transformation into an, as of now, simply alive but powerless cyborg before both he and Garfield are taken to Hive HQ. Luckily, Wally was thinking on his feet and placed a tracker on Ravager, a tracker that was given to him by his mentor, Barry Allen. The Titans regroup and track him, finding him in his home in civilian identity. They manage to easily defeat Ravager, who reveals Hive's HQ before succumbing to a fatal heart attack due to the overuse of his unstable powers, leaving Robin and Wally deeply shaken by their own involvement. Not so much Donna or Roy though. Pressing onwards, the team infiltrates Hive HQ in New York City, where Victor, now equipped with Hive-controlled cybernetics and weaponry, bonds with Garfield in captivity, who learns of Hive's leader Queen Bee and her deranged plan to weaponize his powers to create an army of sentient bees. The team arrives to rescue Gar and Victor and do just that as a battle breaks out between the two groups, with Victor assuming control over his cybernetics. The Titans are winning and things seem to be going a little bit too well, as the lights turn off and a mysterious figure massacres every single Hive agent, including all of the supervillains, leaving the Titans to find themselves amidst carnage they could neither predict nor prevent. However, with the immediate threat neutralized, the heroes establish their headquarters in New York City, dubbing it Titans Tower and dubbing themselves the Teen Titans. Most of the team moves in full time, though Robin and Kid Flash divide their time between the tower and their respective cities. As relationships develop, Roy develops a crush on Donna, Victor and Garfield become best friends, as do Dick and Wally, though Robin and Roy's relationship remains contentious due to the leadership tensions. Individually, Victor struggles to feel human and struggles with his relationship with his father. Beast Boy suffers from PTSD following his parents' death at the hands of Hive, revealed to happen right before the events of this movie, as well as the massacre, but both use humor to mask their pain. Roy struggles to feel a part of the team, Robin doesn't reveal his identity to the rest, and the team has a fragile structure, as its leader isn't always present. Meanwhile, it's revealed that the man who massacred the members of Hive was Slade Wilson, aka Deathstroke, a physically enhanced retired mercenary and father of Ravager, who was Grant Wilson, who was aware of his involvement with Hive and then blamed Hive for Grant Wilson's death, and so got his revenge. Meanwhile, Slade's ex-wife, Adeline Kane, investigates Grant Wilson's death and provides Slade with evidence implicating the Teen Titans. Titans. This revelation fuels Slade's vendetta, leading him to recruit 2 other children, Rose, played by Chelsea Zhang, and Joe, played by Lucas Till, to aid him in dismantling the team. Using psychological tactics, traps, and manipulation, as well as Joe's body possession powers, Deathstroke exploits the team's underlying fragility, eventually capturing every single member of the Titans aside from one in order to lure Robin, the remaining member, into a one-on-one confrontation, threatening to kill his teammates if he brings reinforcements. In a pivotal moment, Robin comes to the realization that he can no longer split his time, so he seeks closure in Gotham by officially stepping out of Batman's shadow, committing fully to the Teen Titans. He confronts Slade, revealing his identity to the team in a show of trust, which inspires Joe to turn against his father. Jericho, who is Joe Wilson, faces off against Rose while Robin battles Deathstroke in a brutal fight. He is ultimately outmatched physically, but does prevail through strategic cunning, freeing his teammates in the process. Slade, in a desperate move and having gone a bit mad, kills his own son Joe to absorb his powers, making himself a greater threat and inadvertently pushing Rose to join the Titans. The final battle sees the team working together to defeat Deathstroke, with Joe's consciousness briefly inhabiting Rose's mind to release the stolen powers. His ultimate sacrifice leaves Slade broken, having killed his own son in pursuit of revenge for his other son's death. Slade is sent to prison, Rose decides to forge her own path rather than join the Titans, and Donna turns down Roy's advances, prompting his departure as he struggles to find his place. Wally follows Dick's lead to become a full-time Titan, abandoning Central City, solidifying the team's core membership of Robin, Kid Flash, Wonder Girl, Beast Boy, and Cyborg, almost the new Teen Titans. Speaking of, the 2 missing members are teased in individual end credit scenes. One introduces an alien princess played by Anya Taylor-Joy escaping captivity on a spaceship. The other features a demonic figure being told of his daughter being found in the land of Azarath. Finally for this chapter is Justice League Doom, which will be the 3rd and final movie in this universe directed by Brad Bird and shares its name with and has a similar story to the real-world animated movie that in this world will not exist. The Justice League is at its peak. The lineup is expansive, including Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Flash, Hal Jordan, now the Blue and Green Lantern, Aquaman, Martian Manhunter, and the heroes recruited during Chapter 2, Green Arrow, Black Canary, Supergirl, and Jon Stewart. To combat the League, with a motive that will be explained later, Lex Luthor rallies a formidable Legion of Doom, consisting of returning villains Black Manta, Captain Cold, and Heatwave, joined by a few newcomers, including Tom Hardy as Bane, a mysterious figure with a vendetta against Batman, Alan Tudyk voicing Clayface, an old enemy of Batman's, Sophie Botula as the Cheetah, an old friend of Diana's who was cursed to become a cheetah which surprises Diana, Jeremy Davies as Dr. Destiny, an insane man with the power to enter and manipulate dreams, who was first defeated off-screen by Green Lantern, Phil Lamar as Malefic, John's long-lost brother who he thought dead alongside the rest of the Martians, Idris Elba as Bloodsport, who has not yet met Superman, is just hired by Lex Luthor, as well as Max Mittelman voicing Atomic Skull, who is indeed an old enemy of Superman's. Finally are Daniel Panabaker as Killer Frost and Dylan Neal as Anthony Ivo, hired by Luthor to create Amazo. Unbeknownst to the League, Batman has put together contingency plans in case they all go rogue. Only maybe Superman knows about it, or at least he only thinks he knows about it, because of the kryptonite that Batman had in Trinity. Unfortunately, these plans are all stolen by Luthor and the Legion of Doom, who plans to use them to destroy the League. Luthor coordinates a full-on assault, deploying each member of the Legion to exploit Batman's plans. Superman is shot with a kryptonite bullet by Bloodsport. Meanwhile, Supergirl faces off against Killer Frost and Atomic Skull, who exploit her Red Sun vulnerability. She's weakened and captured. Flash is tricked by the Rogues into wearing a device that will detonate if he stops running. To evade it, he vibrates to another universe while leaving the device behind. While on this other universe, he meets a hero named Blue Beetle, before then returning. Then, while vibrating back, Barry receives a vision of a coming crisis, showing Earths across the multiverse being destroyed. Hal Jordan and Jon Stewart are attacked by Dr. Destiny, who manipulates their dreams to purposely give them PTSD and survivor's guilt from the Sinestro War. This disables their will, rendering their Green Lantern rings ineffective. However, this has no effect on Hal's hope, so his Blue Lantern ring still works perfectly, and he uses it to escape with John. Near Atlantis, Aquaman is poisoned by Black Manta with a neurotoxin that makes him fear water. He's then kidnapped, but secretly tracked by Mera. Martian Manhunter is ambushed by Malefic, his long-lost brother. Using psychic powers, Malefic traps John into an illusion of being eternally ablaze, rendering him immobile, which he was able to do because he was caught off guard by his brother being alive. Batman faces Bane, who shatters his back after a brutal fight. Bane, then satisfied with his victory, departs the Legion of Doom. Green Arrow and Black Canary face Clayface, who captures Canary while leaving Green Arrow helpless. Batman did not have a plan for Arrow, as he just thought he didn't really need one. Wonder Woman is lured into a hallucination by
Cheetah, forcing her into endless combat, and though it initially incapacitates her, Diana's sheer willpower helps her resist long enough to recover partially. She never really gets exhausted. The captured heroes, Supergirl, Aquaman, Black Canary, and the Martian Manhunter, are taken to Anthony Ivo, who copies their abilities into his android, Amazo. Oliver, Hal, John, and Mara all separately track down the Legion's base of operations, while the Flash performs critical rescues, removing the kryptonite bullet from Superman with his phasing ability, building a suit designed by Batman to help Batman to fight, and delivering Wonder Woman to Themyscira for healing. This series of events leaves Barry exhausted, which proves to have been Lex's plan. Lex takes advantage of this and, alongside the Rogues, defeats and captures Flash to copy his abilities as well into Amazo. The Legion are about to kill the heroes, but are stopped by Arrow, Mera, as well as the Lanterns, who came up with a bit of a strategy, as while their will still doesn't really work very well, Hal's blue ring is able to power up John's green ring into about half power, so while they are a lot less powerful than usual, they are still useful. Oliver frees Barry, who then frees the others, and a fight breaks out. And just then, the Trinity arrives. Superman battles Lex in his armored suit, John faces off against his brother, Diana overcomes the Cheetah, Batman takes down Clayface, Green Arrow defeats Bloodsport, Black Canary defeats Killer Frost, Flash defeats both Cold and Heatwave, Aquaman takes down Manta while Mera defeats Atomic Skull, Hal and John team up against Dr. Destiny, and it seems like the Justice League is doing really well until the real threat emerges as Amazo awakens. Supergirl takes him on by herself before being joined by each hero after they defeat their respective enemies. Amazo, with the powers of the Justice League, proves unstoppable. He battles all the heroes simultaneously, his naivete about his purpose driving him into conflict just like the DCAU version. Lex attempts to control Amazo, but the android grows self-aware. Green Arrow threatens Ivo, who tells him that Amazo copied weaknesses as well. Oliver gets kryptonite from Batman, fashions an arrow, and shoots Amazo. However, this proves completely ineffective due to Amazo's other powers. He just phases through it. Amazo goes to kill Oliver, but uses his Martian mind reading to find out that he was betrayed by his creator. Amazo turns on Ivo and kills him. Before, Amazo is then overwhelmed by reading everyone's thoughts, and is taken aback by the thoughts of the remaining Legion members, so he turns on them. Amazo then kills Ma'alefek first. He was John's enemy, but also his brother and the only other remaining Martian as far as John knows. So Ma'alefek's death pushes John to do something that Martians are mostly forbidden from doing. He attacks Amazo with a powerful psychic assault that erases his mind, leaving the android an empty husk without any powers. Throughout this movie, we would see Lex's motivation being explored. We'd learn earlier that he was contacted by an alien being called Ulthun and forced into destroying the Justice League so that Ulthun could take over the world uncontested, promising Luthor that he could be his second in command. Lex, of course, turns on Ulthun, creating a plan of his own to destroy both the League and create an android capable of fighting off Ulthun. I'm saying it now at the end, but it wouldn't be a third act reveal. We'd see it playing out throughout the movie. Now that Amazo is destroyed, Luthor has failed in that endeavor, and Ulthun sees the opportunity of the exhausted League and defeated Legion of Doom as an opportunity to attack. Joined by Lex, the League face off against a big red tornado monster to save the world, in which both Hal and John fully regain their powers. The powerless heroes Batman and Green Arrow do prove pointless in this fight, and instead turn their attention to the android, rebooting him and easing him into things this time. When the android asks who he is, they come up with the name John Smith off the dome. Inspired by the powerless heroes' fight, the android agrees to help them, so they then fly him up to Ulthun using a bat ship. The android copies Ulthun's power for himself. Process that, since the reboot proved too taxing, and so it disables his ability to copy powers going forward and also turns him red. Joined by the android with the power of Ulthun, the Justice League destroy him, saving the day and adding a new member to the ranks. The rebooted version of Amazo has a completely different perspective on things, is inspired to become a hero, redesigns himself based off of a few other heroes, and calls himself Red Tornado. The League has a new powerful member, but loses several others. Martian Manhunter leaves to search for other surviving Martians on Mars, Aquaman retires to spend his full time on Atlantis, the Flash decides to study the multiverse, and the remaining members hold a vote for Batman after the revelation of his contingency plans. But before he could hear the result, he quits anyway. Not just that, with a broken back, Batman quits vigilantism entirely, and instead searches for a replacement. The League now consists of Superman, Wonder Woman, Hal Jordan, Jon Stewart, Supergirl, Green Arrow, Black Canary, and Red Tornado, but searches for new recruits and come with the likes of Adam Metamorpho, Elongated Man, and the third human recruit to the Green Lantern Corps who is now in training, Guy Gardner, who are all teased to be joining the Justice League soon, but we don't see actors for them yet. But with Flash's warning of a coming crisis, they were going to need to expand their ranks. Speaking of, the end credit scene reveals that Ulthun was actually sent by a being called the Monitor, played by LaMonica Garrett, as a test for the heroes of Earth 1. The monitor is seen with a blonde woman who comic readers would recognize as Harbinger. Starting with this chapter, the DC would also start airing different TV shows that are loosely connected to the DCU, as they all take place on different universes, but eventually will cross over a bit, maybe with a cameo here and there, to what this is all leading up to. These TV shows include Doom Patrol, which is basically just the real-life show just without Cyborg. It would start airing in 2013 and have 4 seasons airing until 2018. But it would later be revealed that Doom Patrol takes place on Earth 13, which is the Vertigo universe. The Vertigo universe would get a second TV show known as The Sandman, which would be just like the real-life Sandman movie, except for Lucifer being played by Tom Ellis, who played Lucifer in the Lucifer TV show, and it connecting a bit to Swamp Thing, as the actor who played Matt Cable there would then show up here as the Raven. John Constantine would also not be involved. The Sandman would start airing in 2015 and continue going until whenever they finish the graphic novel. It's just that from a certain point, it would start taking place in the post-crisis world we'll get to. There would then be a few different shows that take place in its own contained universe known as Earth 14, which would then have a role in the crisis to come. Those shows are a Black Lightning show, which could be similar but maybe a bit better than the real-life live-action show. Black Lightning would start airing in 2014 and have 4 seasons airing until 2019. A Firestorm show starring Robbie Amell and Victor Garber, and just like Black Lightning would start airing in 2014 and go until 2019 with 4 seasons. There would then be a Vixen TV show starring Maisie Richardson Sellers that starts airing in 2016 and has 3 seasons, as well as a Hawk and Dove show starring Alan Ritchson and Minka Kelly, and would have 2 seasons as it starts airing in 2016 but ends in 2018. Finally, Booster Gold starring Eric Martsolf, which would seem like it takes place in the future of Earth 1, but it's later revealed that every possible future is its own separate universe, and this takes place on Earth 24. And so that's it for Chapter 2, as well as a bit of Chapter 3 if you count the later seasons of the TV show. Thanks so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe to stay tuned for when Part 3 comes out. Turn on notifications as well to know exactly when.